This is the Provoked Prawn, and this is the Corsair HS80 Max. This is a premium wireless headset from Corsair, an upgrade to the previous HS80, which was already awesome, and now the HS80 Max has taken a few different improvements and added them into the headset to make it even better. It's Max not for its size, but for the sound and other things going on here. So if you like the previous HS80 or were interested in it, you're really going to like this one. And I'm going to talk to you about why. In this review, we're going to go into a lot of depth on all the different things about it. Now, the HS80 Max is very nice looking and also very comfortable. It has that same design as the previous HS80 with really plush, soft, memory foam cushioned ear cups. But there are some other highlights. For example, you'll see that you get a Dolby Atmos leaflet in the box and then hints to go and download the Dolby Access app, which I'll talk more about later on, which then gives you access to that. It also has SoundID personalisation, which is a really neat system, which I'm again going to show off later on as well, so stick with me for that. But basically personalises the audio by doing some sound tests to work out what your hearing's like and what your personal preferences are in terms of audio, and then adjust the sound accordingly. Pretty impressive stuff. It also does 24-bit 96 kilohertz audio over wireless now, so that's an improvement as well. So there are a number of really interesting highlights about this headset before you even start using it. It will see it's also striking, and as I said, it will be nice and comfortable too. I really enjoyed the HS80, and I'm really pleased to see them maintaining that same design style. It has this floating headband strap on top with a little bit of padding, and that is adjustable, and I'll show you that in a second, as well as those tiltable ear cups. So the ear cups tilt and twist in, and then you have a flip to mute microphone, which is slightly adjustable. More on the mic recording quality. I'll do a mic sound test at the end as well. On the left, you can see the black original HS80. On the right, the new Max version. You'll see there's very little difference in the style of design of them, basically the same looking thing, and that's no bad thing. The ear cups are twistable to remove them, so you can twist those off and replace them if you want to. I don't think you'll need to though, because my personal thing is that these are very soft. They have a velvety finish to them, and they really don't make your ears too hot. They do a good job of some subtle noise cancellation, so they give you passive noise cancellation, but just really all-day comfort. Fantastic in that way. Now, it has a 2.4 gigahertz dongle, which is best used on PC, but will work with console as well. And you basically can just plug that in, and then it'll automatically connect. And then you can tune the sound in Corsair's iCue software. More on that later on. And then obviously, when you need to, you can plug in the Usbc cable for fast charging. So it does have fast charging capabilities. More on this in the description if you want to find out more about it. But essentially, when you need to, you can just plug it in. I'm going to talk about battery life a little later on, because that will change depending on how you use the headset. So it's worth knowing that. But it is easy to plug in when you do need to. And I didn't find I was plugging it in super often, so that's good. Now, on the headset, you also have the obvious power button and the volume wheel. That volume wheel also has a press in it, so you can actually press it in and you can use that for other actions, and you can customize those in iCue as well. As standard, it will switch between various different profiles, but more excitingly perhaps, the HS80 Max has a Bluetooth button on the right hand side. That's right, this headset now has Bluetooth as well as 2.4 gigahertz, which is pretty cool, because that was one of my complaints about the original HS80 is it lacked Bluetooth. Now the HS80 Max has Bluetooth capabilities, and you can just turn that on and pair it with your phone, for example, or another device. And then you can place calls, you can make calls with the microphone, obviously built into the headset, or listen to music via your phone. Now, one downside to this is it is one or the other. So you either have 2.4 gigahertz or you have Bluetooth. You can't have them both at the same time. You can connect both at the same time, as in you can connect your phone while also using 2.4 gigahertz, but you can't play audio from both sources at the same time. This is useful perhaps if someone tries to call you when you're in the middle of a gaming session, because you can then just connect the call from your phone via the headset and use it that way. But sadly, you can't do things like play music from your phone or watch videos on your phone while also getting game audio from your PC, which is a shame, but it is nice to see the addition of Bluetooth to have that option of flexibility. You can see you can also adjust the volume, and you can use the Bluetooth button for playback, so skipping between tracks and pausing and playing and things like that. The strap on top is adjustable as well, so you can adjust the headband strap. Now, I found it pretty comfortable, to be honest. I do think, like I said with the original HS80, that if you have a particularly massive head, you might find the HS80 Max to be a bit uncomfortable, as in it is limited in its range, as you can see from how much the headband is extendable. The earcups don't really pull down, for example. It's just this sort of solid headband design, which isn't extendable beyond just adjusting this head strap, which is a shame, but isn't a problem I've had. And I don't think I've got a particularly small head. And as you'll see, I do wear glasses as well. It's not caused issues with nagging at those. I also like the way this is set up because it does mean that it's quite comfortable. You don't have plastic sitting on top of your head. You've obviously just got this strap, so that sort of floating headband does make it quite easy to wear. And it's fairly lightweight as well, so there's not too many issues in that department. I want to show you a couple of shots of how it fits on my headphone skull that you can see here. You'll see just the headband adjust there. By the way, there's loads of stickers on this headset, so make sure you peel them off because there's a few I missed in various different places. But you can see if you need to adjust the strap, it's quite easy to do. You just have to sort of tug at it on the inside, but it isn't massively adjustable. But you can see the differences there in what you can do with it and how it looks. Now, the comfort of that is also very nice because the way you can twist the ear cups means that you can position it over your ears quite well. So it sits over the ears nicely and blocks out some of that external noise. But more importantly, it's just really plush and really comfortable. And I really find the fit and overall design of those ear cushions to be particularly comfy, which is nice. And also having just multiple controls from the rear is good. You'll see below the volume wheel there's an LED indicator which lets you know not only when you're connected via Bluetooth and pairing mode, for example, but also when you're running low on battery. So if you need to see, you'll see the light flashes a different color. But some close-up shots of these ear cushions just to show you just how plush and comfortable they are. But I don't think I can really do them very much justice with just my voice. One of the things I will say is the microphone design's a bit weird. So it's a flip to mute microphone. You'll notice that it is red, so it's got an indicator around the outside that's red when it's flipped up and muted, and then white when it isn't. You'll see that it is adjustable in that you can put it up and down, but you can't really move it in and out very easily. So that's one thing to bear in mind. It's a bit of a faff there. But the position of it means that you do get some fairly good audio out of it. And I'll do a sound test on the mic in a little while. Surprisingly, not as good as the original HS80 for me, which I think is a bit strange. But you can see just how it fits there. The other thing you'll notice is we do have some RGB lighting on the Corsair logo on the outside. Keep that in mind because that might negatively impact battery life. So that's important to keep in mind. So obviously I'm going to talk about sound and I'll show you some of my thoughts on that in a second. But one of the things I want to show off first of all is the SoundID personalisation. Now this is a setting that you can run through. So it's basically a sound test for your hearing. And it's interesting because it goes through the steps here. So I'm going to show some of them sped up. And basically it gets you to set a specific volume on the headset, and then goes through a number of tests for checking to see the levels of audio that you can hear in your ears. So some quiet sounds are played, and then you're told to click a button to register that you can actually hear a tone at a certain level. And it's going through and seeing the sort of the lowest point of sound that you can hear, the lowest potential sound levels. So testing to see if you have any hearing loss and then adjusting the sound accordingly. Now, it's not just for this. It's actually used in a second to personalize the audio based on your taste. So what you prefer, whether you prefer more bass or a neutral soundscape or a more natural sounding sort of flat sound, or whether you want more focus on vocals than anything else. So this is an interesting sort of equalization test, but also based on hearing, personalized and customized to you. And it's one of the different ways that you can get different audio out of this headset. I've shown you that you can also get Dolby Atmos, which I'll again show in a second. But this SoundID makes quite a difference. So if you get the headset out of the box, try the different EQ profiles that are on there, because there are a few different equalizer profiles in iCue that I'll show you, and don't like them, you can go into the SoundID, run that, and then get completely different sound out of it that's personalized to your own preference. Again, you'll go through tests, choose the sort of music to play back, test it, pick which ones you like, the different sort of variants of that, and then apply it. You can also get the results of your test, which is pretty terrifying because it looks like I've got massive hearing loss. But I actually think I need to retake this test because I didn't do it properly the first time around. And it also notes this is not a medical advice. test, so that's worth keeping in mind. Don't panic about that. But an interesting highlight. Now, the other thing you get is Dolby Atmos. So if you download the Dolby Access app from the store, you can then basically run through the setup process for Dolby Atmos. Atmos is basically a virtual surround sound setting for stereo headsets, and usually you have to pay for access to this, but the HS80 Max comes with a license already, so it's automatically recognized by Dolby Access and gives you access to Atmos as standard. And then you can use that in various different games to get specific sounds. And there's various different game and EQ profiles in here, which also includes custom ones, but you have game ones with intelligent performance mode, and you'll see that the license is provided by Corsair. So as you can see, there's a few different sound settings to play around with that are worth checking out. The other thing is the equalizer settings. So if you go into the EQ settings, you'll see that now we've turned on SoundID and Dolby Atmos, it's actually disabled some of those things. So if we go into Windows sound settings, a few other things to note. So go into Windows sound settings, find the headset, right click, click properties, and you'll see under the spatial sound, you have Dolby Atmos turned on. In the advanced section, you'll also notice that you can turn it on to 24-bit 96 kHz studio sample sound, which is actually a higher sample rate than you usually get as standard on other wireless headsets, because you usually get 40,000 hertz or 48,000. So we get 96,000, and this is wirelessly, which is actually an improvement over previous Corsair headsets and the majority of other headsets out there, because you usually only get the lesser option, so you don't get such a high-res option in there. You can also go into the microphone settings, obviously, and adjust the levels in there and check to make sure you've got a good sample rate on that. I'll do a sound test and show you some of the mic tweaks that you can make in a minute. Interesting, though, that you can adjust and put it into a higher resolution sound in there. So there's a lot of different tweaks that you can do to the headset. So if you get it out and you're not happy with the sound, there's plenty of different things you can choose from, whether it's Dolby Atmos, sound personalisation ID, and more. The other thing it has is access directly in iCue to Nvidia's broadcast technology. This is for noise removal and room echo removal. Now, this only works with Nvidia's latest graphics cards from the 20 series and upwards, and it basically allows you to use your graphics card and AI to remove noise from your microphone. So noise removal and just improving the audio if you're in a noisy environment. Now, one of the other things that I mentioned is the RGB lighting. So you'll see RGB on the Corsair logo. This could be a problem because you can see that the headset basically claims up to 65 hours of battery life over 2.4 gigahertz or 130 hours over Bluetooth, but that is with RGB turned off. So I'd recommend going into the iCue settings and then basically turning the brightness of the RGB all the way down if you want to maximize battery life. And you're not really going to see that RGB lighting anyway, are you? You can also check that the auto shut off is turned on, so it'll turn off when not in use, and then click to turn on a battery gauge in Windows desktop so you can see on the taskbar when your battery's running low, which can be handy. Now, for key assignments, the volume wheel, as I mentioned, can be pressed to change between the various different EQ profiles. So you can see we can go through Pure Direct, Movie Theater, FPS Competition, Clear Chat, Bass Boost, and other things by just pressing that button as standard. It's worth noting that if you're using SoundID, then these are disabled, so that won't work. So if you turn on SoundID personalization, you can see that now we can't actually change between the EQ profiles because there's a little note down there saying that you can't do that. So the button then won't have the same effect. So that's one thing to bear in mind. But what you can do is you can go to key assignments, you can select that, and then you can choose from a variety of other options. You'll see there's all sorts of things in here. For example, if you use voice mod, you can apply those effects in there. But you can even set up keyboard buttons. You can choose to launch a specific app. You can change other things, keystrokes, mouse buttons, and all sorts of things just from that. So you've got the Bluetooth button, which is a multifunction button to pause, play music and accept calls. And then you've got the volume wheel, which can also be applied to do different things too, which is pretty neat. In terms of audio, I think the HS80 Max sounds really good, just like the previous HS80 before it, except now there's a lot more customization options as well. Obviously, the higher sample rate improves the sound, and you get a really rich soundscape out of it. When I started playing with the default settings, though, I did find it was maybe a bit muddy, and the audio was a bit more mixed than I'd like. But with the SoundID personalization, that really changed it and just added a good range to it. I find the bass is really good, and it's got a good response, good positional audio depending on what settings you're choosing, so you can hear footsteps well, just good surround sound from that. and a variety of good options to change between. I've really liked it with the various different games I've been playing, and it's given great audio in all those different situations. And for music, it's great too, to be honest, as well, whether it's on Bluetooth or over wireless. So I want to talk about the HS80 Max's microphone, because this is now what you're hearing. And to be honest, I don't think it's as good as the original HS80, which is weird. Obviously, this is wireless, and you'd usually find wireless compression on various mics, but I just don't think it's as good quality, and it's a bit strange. And I've played around with some of the settings. Maybe Corsair will update it with a firmware fix to sort it out, but I just don't think the quality's as good as it could be, and that's a real shame. I think that really lets it down. Now, there are some things that you can do to tweak it, though. So if we go into the settings here, for example, obviously you have the Nvidia settings, and whether it's usable or not is going to depend on your graphics card. But before we do that, if we go into the EQ settings, you can obviously adjust the mic volume. So perhaps reducing the volume a little bit, tweaking it around, playing around with that might help. And then obviously we have the sound settings. So if you found you've got a lot of background noise, we can actually remove some of the noise and room echo. You'll also notice that you can change the intensity of that over there as well. So in the software, you can adjust how much room removal you need. I don't think I really need that because I've got a pretty good room in terms of sound, apart from noise from outside. But there's not too much background noise here, but Broadcast is fantastic for that. So it's nice to see it built in. So if you do have an air conditioner or really noisy fans in the area, then that might be really helpful. I just think it's a shame that the HS80 Max doesn't sound as good as the HS80. So one of the things that I will say, if you do find that the microphone doesn't sound as good, is that it might be down to Nvidia's broadcast options. So if you go in, you see now I've turned broadcast off, you'll see it's just making a little bit of a difference here. I actually uninstalled it. So the way to do this is to click on the settings cog on iCue, and then go into integrations, and you should see an option to uninstall broadcast there. It was weird that it was making it worse when it was turned off, but even now it still doesn't sound as good as the original HS80, which is weird. But maybe a firmware fix will sort it out. And this is the original Corsair HS80, and this gives you an idea of what quality is like. And this is the default settings, but it's obviously over wireless, so you can hear the sound quality of it, and it is pretty good sounding microphone for a headset microphone, like one of the better ones available, which is pretty impressive. So the overall conclusion is the HS80 Max is a nice upgrade in a number of different ways from the original HS80, although the microphone is lacking at the time of this review. Hopefully they'll fix that. But it is wonderful, comfortable, and flexible. Unfortunately, no dual connectivity with Bluetooth and wireless at the same time, but otherwise a great headset that I would recommend. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Thanks for watching. Check out the links in the description to find out more. If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe and drop me a comment down below to help support my channel and the algorithm boost this video up. Thanks very much. You've made it right to the end of the video, you brilliant legend you. If you've enjoyed it, click that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and drop me a comment down below if you've got any questions. If you really enjoyed it, consider joining the channel and see the benefits of doing so. Check out these other videos. You might well find them interesting or useful. And most importantly, have a great life.